Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Stand for Kind Talks with Candy Olant and Kristen Chapman.
Hello.
Today, our guest is Jake Mater Cooper. He's a high school junior out of Texas, great state of Texas. Jake is a baseball player and he's a Stand for Kind ambassador. And Jake actually reached out to us wanting to come on the program to talk about just the effects of drugs and alcohol that he's seeing on his peers. And we're also going to touch on his perspective of moving into college in a couple of years. So, Jake, it's great to have you. Thanks for joining us today.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
So, Jake, will you tell our listeners just a little bit about yourself?
I will. So, a lot of my family's from Philadelphia area, but one of my parents moved down here from up there, and I was born and raised in Pearland. I've been playing baseball since I was around 2. I go to Pearland High School, and I really like being outdoors. I love playing with my friends. I like playing baseball. Just doing a whole bunch of different sports. I like being busy. I like learning. I like just doing things, helping people, and just being all around a good person to other people as well.
That's awesome. How did you get connected with Stand for Kind?
So my mother, her name is Gloria Cooper. She does stuff with Pam Hayes, and Pam Hayes told her about the Stand for Kind thing, and it really hit me because I really like helping people, but I didn't know where I should start, how I can get out there, how I can make other people feel like I'm getting myself out there. So her and Pam talked about it, and I really thought it was interesting how y'all incorporate different things into the curriculum and different things throughout education, and her whole platform with suicide and all those things. So I really liked the whole platform she had going on, and she told me about the podcast and being an ambassador, and I was like, well, I really want to do that because it's something I really wanted to incorporate into my life to try to reach out and help others as well.
That's awesome. Very cool. So you're a junior, finishing up your junior year of high school right now. What are you most looking forward to about senior year?
So at our school we have exemptions, and I don't have to take most of my finals senior year. So that's what I'm very looking forward to be quite honest. And also we have an EMT pathway. So there's 2 class periods. You get to go like on the ambulance to like different hospitals and all that stuff. And I really like the medical field, so I feel like it'd be very fun. And also just getting ready to go to college, college is right around the corner, and just preparing for that. It's going to keep me busy, but I'm really looking forward to it.
Those exemptions are, and my son hates it when I say this, are fire. Because let me just tell you, he is a senior this year, and he has loved the exemptions. Like, it is just the best thing ever. He's like, I don't have to take EOC. He's so excited about it. It's been really funny. So we were chatting before we started, and we understand that you have a baseball scholarship, and that was offered to you your sophomore year, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
That's amazing. I mean, you must be really, really, really good. That's quite an achievement. So would you talk to us a little bit about what baseball means to you, like this team sport? You said sports in general have always been a big part of your life, but what does it mean to you? What are some of the lessons that you've learned, the character building that you have had?
Baseball has always been my identity ever since I was little. My mom helped me out a lot, getting better, reaching out, talking to people, getting lessons, getting that extra help. And it's always just been who I am. A lot of people, Jake, baseball. That's just how people know me. And I feel like it really does help me by a lot of my friends actually do come from baseball. So a lot of my peers and a lot of the friendships that I made over the years do come from baseball. And I feel like that's really helped me, create a good friend group that I can be close with and grow not only as a person, but as a ball player. And I also feel like it helps me cooperate with other people better, work as a team. There's always like, there's one or two people in the team you're like, do I, you're iffy about them, but it really shows you about the real world that you just have to compromise and you have to, put on your smiling face and you have to just push through it. And also, it teaches you a lot about perseverance. We're in high school when we have to run those triangles, from home to foul pole to back. It's not fun. It's not fun. And when you're like halfway there, it's like, but it really does help you mentally. It really helps build mental toughness. And I really like just the general aspects that baseball brings into my daily life and how I can be better for other people and myself as well.
So it is a really big part of your life, but it's not your entire identity, is what I'm hearing. It's teaching you a lot of life skills as well. It's helping you to foster friendships and learn how to navigate those relationships.
Mm-hmm.
But you're also seeing college as a way to, when you're talking about also in high school, going on EMT runs and things like that, you're also diversifying yourself by not just thinking only about baseball. Right? Like,
yes,
what
ma'am.
do you want? Yeah, I think that's really important because I've talked to a lot of athletes, and when they're your age and a little older, their entire identity is ball. And then when they get into college, sometimes, maybe they do play a lot, maybe they don't. But most of the ones that I've talked to had some sort of career path, their major that they were working towards. And so they were really well rounded. So I think that's a lesson to kind of take away too, because you never know what the future will bring.
No, absolutely. And my mother tells me that all the time. I have an uncle, his name is Scott Fredrickson. He went to the major leagues and he could have went out of high school, but, he went to go get his degree. Now he's a pharmacist, does very well for himself. But my mother always, hounds on me, go get that degree. You never know what's going to happen. Him and his career, he shattered his kneecap. His season was over. His career was over. But he had something to fall back on because, like you said, he can be well-rounded. And he could go back to that and was able to provide for his family and have some good investments and be able to support a lot of people.
I think that's a great outlook to have on everything, and that you're definitely prepared for whatever may come your way.
Absolutely.
So, where are you going to college to play ball?
I committed to Rice University my sophomore year.
How'd that feel as a sophomore? That must have been really cool.
It was great. A lot of my friends were happy for me. My parents were just, over the world, proud. It was great to see them. My whole family was just going crazy. It felt good. All my hard work's paying off. But for me, the work just now starts. You have that expectation. You have that bar now. You have to stay with it and just, keep getting better every day. And I feel like my real work has started now.
Have you committed to a major in college yet?
No, ma'am. I haven't really looked into the definite majors. I haven't really talked to their counselors and support staff that they have over there yet. I'm waiting till like senior year to do that. But I've been looking into the medical field, maybe finance, engineering. But the thing about Rice is they have a lot of different majors and options that you can go into. So I'm really just, waiting for my senior year. Might get my basics out of the way at Rice and just see what I want to after that sophomore year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a great plan. A lot of people change their majors too. So don't feel like stuck in anything because you can always change your mind.
Oh, my mom always tells me about that every day. She's like, yeah, I want to be a teacher and then a coach and this. I'm like, oh, I didn't know you could do that. But it's funny.
My undergraduate was in psychology and then I switched into education. So you can always change your mind as many times as you want.
Yes,
you can. I started out with business and ended up in education.
Oh, wow.
So you just never know. But I think some of the skills that you're learning, you mentioned perseverance, which made me think of grit. Then you talked about mental toughness, and that made me think about discipline. So all of those attributes are going to help you in whatever major you choose and off the ball field. So that's a great thing about being in sports. I think you learn a lot. That's really cool.
Yes,
Are you nervous about the transition into college?
Not really. I've talked to a lot of my friends that are now in college at Rice specifically, and it makes me feel better that I already know people going in there, and I've talked to the coaching staff a lot, and everything's very organized when you get in there. You get in, you get your stuff, you start practice, and you move on, and they really do a good job about helping the freshmen out, helping you find your dorm, helping you all this stuff. I think the main thing for me is going to be laundry because I don't really know how to do laundry. So that's gonna be the only thing that's gonna hurt, probably. Maybe also like picking up my room and my mom not being like, "Oh, go pick up your room," because sometimes it does not get clean. But I think I'm very excited. A lot of my friends like it over there. Love the coaching staff. Love the campus, and love that it's like right next to Rice Village. I don't know if you are familiar with that, but it's like Rice University, like Rice Village, is like a little area like shops, places to eat. A lot of the kids hang out over there, and it's a really fun place to be.
Sounds like a cool little college town. We have something really similar here in Knoxville,
It's like the
University of
little
Tennessee.
place. Oh, really? Oh, I forgot that's in Knoxville. One of my friends committed there. He's very excited for that.
For baseball?
Yes, ma'am.
Ooh, their baseball team's kind of good now. That's awesome.
Oh, yeah. I'm very excited for him.
That's really cool.
It is really cool. It's a cool college campus. It's been fun to grow up here. So, okay, you talked about you're not really that nervous. It's a big transition, but it sounds like you have good supports with your mom, and you've got friends that are already there, and you've kind of looked into the community around Rice. You talked about also like just kind of domestic skills, just being able to do your laundry. And I'm sure you'll have a meal plan, so you won't have to necessarily worry about food. You'll be fed well, especially as an athlete. If I remember correctly, on the University of Tennessee, their athletic cafeteria, unreal. Just unreal. Yeah, because nutrition has to be a big piece, but you got to make sure you're like getting all the sleep and doing all that kind of stuff. Do you think you'll need any emotional support? Because it sounds like you've got some of the other stuff kind of figured out already.
I think being around like 30, 40 minutes away from home, emotional support would be somewhat easier for me because, if I really just was like, Mom, I'm struggling, I'm having all this like, anxiety build up, these nerves, I can always drive home, and my mother can always drive here, great people, she can always come up to Rice, help me out, be there for me. So really, mentally, I'm not, that like, nervous about it, but, at the end of the day, I'm not that far from home, and I can always come back, and she can always come up there if I need to.
Just don't be afraid to ask.
Yes, ma'am.
So what inspired you to reach out to us to share your perspective on how your peers are being impacted by drugs and alcohol?
So I'm friends with a lot of people, apparently, a lot of variety of groups. And I see how, on the daily basis, it consumes them. Nowadays, you can't walk into the bathroom on passing period without just being a whole cloud of smoke in there, whether that's weed, whether that's, just nicotine. There's no place that you can just go to relieve yourself. It's just a place to, smoke and stuff. And I've just seen, going to get-togethers and stuff with my peers and such, I see how it's just all about that. Oh, who has this? Who has the nic? Who has, the weed? It's not necessarily just about having fun anymore. I also see some of the statistics on, alcoholism, drug use within the teens. Like I was looking at the CDC in 2020, they found that 29% of drivers from the age of 15 to 20 who were killed in a motor vehicle accident have been drinking. That's 29% of people. That really hits me because I have a lot of friends, and just the thought of them, not making it home at night would just, it wouldn't sit well with me. And it's not just a little drinking. It's not like, small little beer. Another study by them said 17% of drivers 15 to 20 involved in a fatal motor vehicle accident had a blood alcohol content of 0.8% or higher. And just to put that in perspective, the Utah limit is 0.05%. So it's not just a little bit, it's heavy. And
Wow.
just the thought of, a kid passing away. I've been to funerals and stuff, it's very sad. But I've also been to a funeral of a kid, and it's really different. It really does hit you. And I don't really want to see people not returning at home at night. I really want to see my friends especially make it home at night. And I really want there to be a plan for them if they do drink, or just not to drink at all. And also going into the drug use, especially the kids my age and, like 15 through there, a lot of their brains aren't developed yet. So, especially until their age of 20. So they're really susceptible to change effects of alcoholism and drug use. And it's just, I don't want people to have to rely on those things, especially when they get older. I don't want that to be just a staple as they get older. And I really want to educate the youth, especially in middle school area, because in my experience, I've seen it starts there. A lot of people that still do alcohol, nicotine, drugs started there. Oh yeah, let me just try it. And they've never gotten off. The one time, nicotine is very addictive. And that one time they just try it, it's just addicting. They can't get off of it no matter how hard they try. A lot of people that I've talked to have tried to get off of it, but they can't. So my goal is to just make sure that, as that little group in middle school and junior high, you get to them before they get into those things to try to stop, whatever they're going to try to do that's going to negatively impact them or put them in harm's way.
Yeah, I'm surprised to hear middle school. I don't think that was a thing when I was younger. I think it was high school when kids started kind of experimenting with that stuff. Or maybe I was just naive. I don't know.
A lot of times in my middle school and junior highs, it's not as prevalent because, in high school, you're so addicted, you have to get it constantly. It's one of those things. Middle school, oh yeah, let me hit it here. Oh, maybe here. It's not as everybody involved, because not everybody just starts right at the same time and all that stuff. So it's really just trying it middle school. And nicotine, as everybody, like I said, is very addictive. So once they try it that one time in middle school, it just lingers on with them through high school. And I still know some people in college and out of college that still have that addiction that haven't got over it.
You know what, too, Jake? I think the landscape has changed a lot with how nicotine is presented, because I definitely tried nicotine back in the day, and cigarettes taste like crap. When you smoke a cigarette, it tastes awful the first, I don't know, however many times you smoke, but it's the vaping piece where it's flavored, it's not as harsh. And I think the vaping has introduced a much more palatable way for kiddos to try nicotine. And so they're getting pulled into that addiction. And I was going to tell you, I think I shared this with Kristen, or maybe I don't know who I was talking to, but I actually knew two students when I was in middle school who went to rehab in 8th grade for alcohol. They were already binge drinking and couldn't function. And there were two of them that went to rehab, 8th graders. And that's pretty scary when you think about the age range of those kiddos. So you've obviously done some research, and I was just curious, and it's okay if you didn't come across this, but what do you think, just, through your research, or your personal opinion is fine as well, but what do you think is the catalyst for your peers to want to go down this road? Because let's face it, there is a lot of information out there about the harms of drugs and alcohol, but people are still doing it anyway. Kids are still trying it anyway. I have my ideas of why I think they're doing it. What have you discovered?
I think a lot of it has to do with the social acceptance. To me, a lot of kids look at it as just the social norm. Everybody does it. Let me do it too. And it's always been one of those things. I can fit in this way. But also I believe parents have a lot to do with it. I've seen kids that have parents that struggle with alcoholism and smoke a lot. They've also went into that area. Now, some haven't, I'll give you that, but a lot have because they've just been put in that scenario. And a lot of kids, parents are number one influence on their kids, in my opinion. If you can parent right, if you can, make sure they understand. And I'm not like a parent, and I know there's like parenting's very hard. I'm not a parent myself, but if you can just, show them from a very young age and just keep on showing them, this is not right. I believe they will be better. And then also, a lot of the people I've talked to go into marijuana and weed and those sort of drugs for stress. A lot of my friends, relationships in life. A lot of people, with school. There's a lot of stress involved, especially as an adolescent. And I'll say it myself included. It's very stressful. Baseball, relationships, all these things going on. It's a tough time. Some people can't handle it. And it's just one of those things that it's just an easy out. Once you smoke marijuana, your brain releases dopamine. People that don't understand that, it's just basically a reward center, a reward system. It makes you feel good. So when they get that quick, on the spot sense of relief, it's easier, but it's just masking the problem. There's still going to be those stresses. There's still going to be those, little kinks in relationships that aren't, leveled out yet. It's still going to be there. That temporary, sense of relief is only going to wear off a couple of hours maybe. But I feel like people really do need to understand that is just a temporary solution. Not even solution, a temporary feeling.
It's a Band-Aid.
But not, a long-term solution.
I'm glad that you were brave enough to say that it's stressful. And I think that the adults that listen to this podcast need to be careful to dismiss their teens and tweens stress, because as an adult, it's 100-fold. And it's easy to lose perspective and think, okay, I'm the one that's paying the bills. I'm the one that's, going to work, blah, blah, blah. And then they don't give their kid enough credit for what they're trying to achieve and the stressors that they're facing. And you're like figuring the world out right now, with relationships and friendships and peer pressure and all the things, and focusing on your academics and rising to, the expectations of your coaches. It sounds like you have a wonderful family support, but parents just need to be careful about dismissing the stressors that kiddos face. But how do you, Jake, deal with these stresses on a daily basis? What's your healthy outlet?
A lot of my outlets is facing the problem head on. I've always been that way. If there's a problem, I'm going to fix it. I don't want it to be around lingering, whether that's relationships, whether that's with me, whether that's something around the house, maybe. I want to get it done. I want to get it done so I don't have to worry about it. I don't have to stress about it. And, sometimes with my parents, they're like, I'm proud of you. You're doing really good. And that's what I feel like a lot of kids lack. Parents would be surprised. A lot of kids want to vent to their parents, want to have that outlet to your parents, but they're either scared of what they're going to say or they think their parents are going to ignore them. And a lot of kids would just want an I'm proud of you. You're really working hard. I see you're working. And they just want to be able to vent. They don't need that instant feedback from the parents. Oh, you're not doing this right. You're not doing good enough here. They just want a place to outlet, a place to feel safe and just speak their mind. They don't always need that feedback, that criticism. They just want a safe place, a calm place, just to talk. And I feel like that's what my parents have done a really good job on. I've always been able to come to my parents about anything, whether I thought it was going to get me in trouble or not. I've always just really been able to go to them no matter what it is. And they've always been listening to me. They've always, put me first. They've always helped me out through a lot of things, give me a lot of opportunities. So I really do, love my parents, and they have really done a good job. But I feel like I said, having that outlet to talk to not just your parents, but, your peers, maybe a counselor. It can be anybody, even if they're not a professional. If you can trust them, that is a good place to start. And one of the things that I've really wanted to do, later in life is to work up from the kid level up to the parent level. Because at the end of the day, the parents are over the kids, right? So I want to make sure that the parents know how to deal with if a kid is talking about this or a kid is thinking about this. So I've always wanted to make just a little place where parents can go. It's not like a parenting handbook or anything like that, because I mean, like I said, parenting is a hard task in itself, but just a place where they can see how they can help their kids perform and get better at any subject, abuse, alcoholism, stress, anxiety, relationship issues. I want there to be a place where parents can go. A lot of times we see a lot of places where kids can go, of the suicide hotline, for example. And like, it's a place where you can call, where you can get help, but you don't really know the person. It's not really personal. But I feel like having that person, not even your parent that has to go to that place, but a teacher, a counselor, a friend's parent, a cousin, or somewhere they can go so they can help you. Because, like, I'm kind of rambling here, but going to therapy, right? It's a place where you can talk, but a lot of people that I know that have been to therapy don't say everything because they're not comfortable. They know they're not going to accept, or they're going to criticize. But by having, a really good friend or something like that, like it's like a friend, they can go to that place and look up, how can I help them with this in their life? And I feel like personally that would be better for them, because you don't have that extra stress about, venting to a person that you don't trust, or a person that you think you're going to be judged by. I know me personally, there's a lot of things I'd tell my friends I wouldn't tell my parents. I feel like a lot of kids are like that as well. So by having that resource to be able to best help me, and if like I said, my counselors, teachers, friends, parent, if they had that resource to help me, I feel like I would benefit from that mostly, because I wouldn't have that stress about going to somebody else that I don't trust.
Yeah, I think it's about having a trusted adult, whoever that trusted adult is. And when I was younger, I would tell, definitely my friends things that I would never say to my parents, but also my friends' parents. They usually knew a lot more about like what was going on than my parents did.
Yes,
And I
ma'am.
think having that, and it was because they didn't act like our friends. Like, they were parents for sure, but I just thought they were cooler for some reason and just felt more comfortable talking to them. So I think just having that trusted adult, whoever it is, maybe it's your coach, maybe it's a counselor at school. I loved my high school counselor. He used to like pull a whole bunch of girls in for like a lunch thing that we would do. Looking back as an adult, I now realize that what he was doing was trying to find out the drama of what was going on so that he could like get ahead of it. I see that now, but like at the time I just thought it was so cool. I felt so special that like me and this group of girls got to go to his office to have lunch. Now I realize there were ulterior motives there, but I think it's just whoever like that person is to you, that trusted adult that you can talk to, that you know isn't going to judge you, but is going to be there for you.
Absolutely.
It sounds like you're talking about also equipping those trusted adults with a bank of resources that they can pull from to help guide them through a tricky situation. And I think at Stand for Kind, that's what we're building with our app and some of the resources that we have. So if you want to help, Jake, the door is wide open. So you just let us know what you want to do, buddy, and we'll keep you busy.
I would love to. And like I said, that trusted adult can only do so much if you don't know how to handle something. You can listen, but you might not be able to handle it to the best of your ability. But like Stand for Kind, they have a really good platform that parents and trusted adults can go to help guide those kids down the right path and give them the right help at the right time.
Yeah, we're literally building a parent toolkit right now, which sounds exactly like what you want to do. And it's going to have anything in it from, there's like a 26-page ebook on cyberbullying and gaming. There's a presentation on managing emotions. So the
Mhm.
parents can be equipped to help their kids manage big emotions. So they have coping skills and they don't turn to things like drugs and alcohol to put the
Yeah.
Band-Aid on the bad thing.
Yeah.
Fentanyl presentation. I mean, it's going to be packed and loaded full of stuff. So if you have anything you want to contribute, by all means, sir, we're more than happy.
Oh, absolutely. That sounds very good. That's exactly what I was thinking.
So speaking of fentanyl, because I just said that, I know that's like a big topic in the news, or at least it was with the whole opioid crisis kind of going on. Are you seeing, like, what trends are you seeing? Because I've seen that a lot in the news. I've seen vaping a lot. But is there anything else you're seeing amongst your peers?
Not really fentanyl based. It's a lot of lacing the vapes with other things like THC and stuff like that. It's a lot of just, like I said, lacing. I mean, there's not really a lot of fentanyl at our level, but that goes into also what I was saying, that you don't know what's in that vape. You know, you try it one time, you don't know what's in that. It could be nicotine, it could be THC. You get drug tested, it's in your system. You thought you were just, smoking a nicotine, cartridge, but no. But like trends like that, I haven't really seen that at my level. My mother, she has seen some of that stuff, but at Pearland High School, we have not seen those kind of things. No, man.
That's good.
It's a blessing.
I'm glad. Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
glad
me
to hear
too.
that. Not that lacing vape pens is a good thing, because it's definitely not. But I'm glad that you're not having issues with fentanyl. That's good.
For sure. So we're talking about building awareness too, or let's talk about building awareness and discouraging substance abuse. And what is your school, because it's your community right now, what's your school doing? Do they have any campaigns that have been successful about building awareness of the harmful effects of drugs and alcohol and vaping? Like, what have you seen?
So we have, I think a lot of schools have drug-free week, and like Red Ribbon Week for us is one of those, just like say no to drugs. And they have those, say no to drug posters. Me being a kid that's 17 years old, I see a poster, I'm like, okay, it's a poster.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it doesn't do anything.
It's
And
not
I feel like,
impactful.
exactly, I feel like it's just one of those things they put up just to say we put it up. They don't do really anything to do something about the problem. And a lot of the problem has to do with them not really putting a further emphasis on it, as I said. So basically, they just kind of stand on the sidelines and they discipline people for doing them, not really going into why. The why. That is really what we need to focus on. Is not the don't do it or the discipline part. It's the why are you doing it? How does it make you feel? And how can we help you get through this? And I feel like really going to that from a perspective like that would be a lot better, as people, not just like kids, but adults as well, can see the youth and can see us actually, like, we're not just people that are just smoking to smoke or just doing it to do it, like this, like that, even though there are kids that do it. But sometimes there's kids that just need help. And by putting that out and not just saying don't do it, would do a lot more help than just putting a poster.
Yeah, it sounds like with the discipline part, at least, they're kind of being reactive as opposed to being proactive and trying to really get to the root of it.
And that's a lot of the problem, even in today's world, in other areas. It's dealing with the problem, but not really dealing with the problem. You do the effects. You discipline, you stop, but you don't prevent. Prevention, I believe, is the best way to help our youth now. If you help them out at the psychological level, I feel like we would have such a good future, and a lot of schools would be better from it.
Because let's face it, if you find yourself so stressed out, there's an underlying mental health issue that you're trying to cope with by using drugs or alcohol. if you are feeling so, not you generally, Jake, I mean, if one feels so pressured by their peers to experiment with drugs and alcohol, there's a self-confidence or something going on with that person that is telling their brain, saying it's okay, let's do this, you know. So you're right, the prevention piece, like the mental health piece, like what's going on with that person to where they're justifying doing it or trying it,
Mhm.
or they're in such a mental space that they're looking for any kind of relief to escape the stress or trauma or abuse that they're facing.
And like I understand that. And like I said, there are some kids that continuously just do it just to be cool, to be like
Mm-hmm.
everybody else, to do this like in a party situation. Everybody's drinking, doing nicotine and stuff like that. So you feel like, oh yeah, I can do that too. And I feel like the people with actual mental health, problems get swept under the rug underneath that
Mm-hmm.
influence right there. So I feel like, if we single out those individuals and if they feel safe to come out and talk about how they're feeling, we'd have a really, really good outcome rather than just thinking, oh, kids just do it to do it.
Yeah. Just think about those kids who just want to be cool. There's something going on there, though.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if they just feel like they have to be cool or being seen as cool, there's something underlying. Either they lack
Mm-hmm.
confidence or something's going on to where they just need some encouragement or some help to work through that too. Um, anyway, that's a whole nother thing, but I totally agree with you. I think the mental health piece is a really big deal. Um, I think we're near the lightning round. Do you want to kick it off?
I'd love to.
All right.
So, Jake, what are you most looking forward to in college?
I really like to go play baseball with my friends, travel with the baseball team, do stuff towards my major and things that are going to apply to my career path, and just really meet new people, get out there, do new things, and just have fun. And college is one of those things where you just have fun. You never get it back, and you just want to maximize it while you're there.
Yeah. What do you think will be the hardest or most difficult transition piece going out of your senior year and everything you know into something new?
I think just not being able to have my mom there to do my laundry and help me pick up my room and stuff, and just getting my schedule down, making sure everything gets done, not just slacking off, which I'm not really worried about, but I just have to stay on top of my things and just really recognize that I just need to get stuff done orderly fashion.
So, you obviously, I'm sure, have experienced some peer pressure, just being a high school student and an athlete. What advice would you give to a high schooler about resisting those pressures?
I would just say remember who you are. A lot of kids just think in that time, you're just having fun, you're just like everybody else. You don't just want to be like everybody else. You want to stand out. When I get to parties, there's me and a couple of my friends. We don't do those things. We don't smoke. We don't do alcohol. We still have a great time because we have friends that understand that, respect us, respect our decisions, and don't put that pressure on us. Also, you're representing more than just yourself. Your name, your family, your character. There's a lot of things that you're representing. And a lot of the time, what helps me is I say, be who you would want to look up to. I want to be a leader, and I put myself in that situation where if I was a little kid and I looked up to me, would I be somebody that I would want to be a role model? And I feel like that helps me a lot about resisting pressure and just remembering who I am.
So if a peer finds them, or anyone that's listening to this that's around your age, Jake, find themselves in a tricky situation where, let's say, they're being introduced drugs or alcohol or being pressured, what would you say to them?
I would say find somebody that is going to help you. Don't just ramble to a friend that struggles with the same thing that's just going to keep you going down that road. Find a trusted friend's parent. Doesn't even have to be your parents or counselor. A trusted friend that doesn't do those things, or a trusted friend's parent. Just open up to them, understand that yes, I do have this issue, and I really just need to talk about it and see how I can better myself, because at the end of the day, you can only do so much by yourself. Having that extra support will really help you get through those times.
Awesome. Jake Mader Cooper, thank you so much for being on with us today. I think it would be really fun to follow up with you in a few years to kind of see how your transition's going and your baseball is going, and if you've chosen a major. So we wish you all the best, and seriously would love to work with you on some content for Stand for Kind.
Absolutely. Thank y'all for having me so much. I love, coming to this Stand for Kind meeting. It's very fun.
Thanks, Jake. We'll be following your baseball career for sure.
Yes, ma'am.